login procedure. This is a single sign-on mechanism. So users don't have any special software. Users just need a standard web browser. That's the beauty of SAML web SSO protocols. And maybe I'm gonna skip this. This is the point here is that there is another way of doing single sign-on. So there are lots of ways. This is specific scenario for the HTTP SAML web SSO. And as I said, SAML as a whole give a deployer the choice of communication mechanism. So designed for different purpose and environments. But I'm gonna, for the sake of time, I'm gonna skip this. But authentication context is a very important notion. So I'm gonna refer later. And maybe this is canonical view of SAML assertion. Maybe I'm gonna skip. And the important point here is SAML assertion again can be used in 3 different purposes. Authentication, which I explained, but it also can be used for authorization and also attribute exchange, so that you can express some attribute like I'm 40 years old, or I'm a male, or I'm an Asian, or something like that in the statement. There are different kind of statement. Here is authentication statement, but there is a authorization statement and attribute statement, so that you can convey other kind of information. And maybe I'm gonna skip this, but and Liberty ID WSF is another framework. This is a SOAP-based framework for locating and invoking identity-based web services. So permission-based, main application is permission-based attribute sharing, and invoking service under control of user. And subscription and notification is also provided by IDWSF. And SAML assertion as a default security token. Let me explain specific case of sharing user attribute of a service provider with another service provider on demand. This is a kind of mashup scenario, so that SP1 service and SP2 service are mashed up. In that case, currently, there are, for instance, in Google or Flickr, there are no authorization at all. That is a very dangerous from security perspectives. But in this mechanism, when a service access to other service, web service for specific data, that service can convey convey the information about for whom that service is, on behalf of whom that service access to the information. In that way, you can control the access to the personal data. So first, single sign-on to IDP, and then request the service with SAML assertion, and then request information for access to an identity service. But to provide the service, SP1 needs some data managed by SP2. Then maybe first SP1 should locate where the data is. So ask the discovery service and saying that I need this data, some specific data on behalf of this ready. That kind of information are conveyed by SAML, and then information is going back to service provider 1, and then using that location information and kind of access ticket, they access to SP2. So now this guy knows where it is, and then authorization ticket. Then with that ticket and location information, access to SP2, and then access SP2 proves that this guy is access on behalf of this lady. Then provides that kind of information. But before that, you can, with this mechanism, you can ask for consent from this user. So in step 4, request for this service request for user profile, but SP2 really confirm that users consent via it's called interaction service, but on demand. Then after getting consent from the user, it provides a user profile, and then finally it provides a service to users. In that way, you can provide a mashed up service with security and privacy protection. Maybe I have 30 minutes. Okay, so IDWS people services just for instance social network services. So maybe I'm gonna skip this. But if you are interested in, I don't have enough time. But if you are interested in, search for people service in Liberty Alliance site. So, and other topic is identity governance framework. We are working on this. It's in progress, so I'm going to skip this. And another important project we are working on, identity assurance framework. So people sometimes ask how, they need some assurance level, how trustworthy the identity is. In the government application or military services, that kind of assurance level is very important, they said. So that we are working on a framework to explain assurance level of identity. Right now there are 4 levels, from little or no confidence to a very high level of confidence, so that you can use for criminal investigation or military services. So it requires multi-factor remote authentication with hardware-based tokens and such. And maybe I'm going to skip. So information card is again provide a constant user interface for users. This is okay. And this is one of the user interface. You guys, have you ever used information card? You okay? But it's not. In my impression, it's not so widely used yet. But I think it's a great user interface, and can be combined with other protocols, such, for instance, OpenID and SAML. So, it's a complementary technology, I guess. But anyway, information card consists of 3 components. Identity selector. This is the most important component in my opinion. Again, this is identity selector, so that you can choose which persona or which card you wanna use. Right now, it has 2